So I'm here today with Carolyn Forster, who's very kindly agreed to do some workshops for us, and I thought that you'd like to meet her. Carolyn first came to my attention because she is the author of this book called Quilting on the Go, and it is a technique that I really have struggled to get to grips with, but it's one of your favourite techniques, isn't it?
It is. It is a lot simpler than people seem to think, and generally they're a bit frightened of it because they see it as another process in the quilt making process, but actually it is just so straightforward, and any qualms about having to join the blocks together are completely overridden once they start making their quilts and realise that they can quilt it really portably, really easily, and in small sections.
Well, I know I've seen you do this in classes because you go around the world teaching this, and you do make it look easy, but do I assume that it actually fitted your lifestyle because it's small and portable and you could take it with you?
Yeah, I mean, to start with, it was just another way of putting quilts together, but then gradually, as I started thinking up more ideas of how to design the quilts and quilts that I wanted to make, I realised as well that usually when I make a quilt, you've got the whole great basting issue to how do you flatten it all out, how do you keep it flat, how do you sort of move much furniture to sort of get it flat on the floor. But what I realised was you only needed the tabletop, so that was fine. And also because on family holidays and things like that, or when you're travelling away at weekends, if you want to take a bit of stitching, a bit of quilting, you can't actually pack a whole big quilt into the suitcase and convince your family that they don't need half their clothes because you need to take the quilt with you. Exactly. So, but if you just have a few of these blocks prepared, you can take sort of 4 or 5, stick one in everyone's luggage, and when you get to the destination, unpack the suitcases, and you've got a whole quilt but in different little pieces. So it is just really portable. You can slot your quilting in. If you've got a young family, I find my son over the years, you end up, they don't tell you this before you have children, but you end up waiting around a lot for them.
So I gather, yes.
Yes, so in all the waiting time, you can just sit there, as other ladies have got their bits of knitting or bits of crochet, you can just sit there with a piece of quilting in your lap and quilt away merrily while you're waiting. Hospitals, waiting rooms, anywhere really.
Yeah, I remember Ginny Bayer saying that actually. She used to take all hers pre-cut and she'd
with her hand piecing. Absolutely, you can get so much done when you don't realise you're doing it.
Yes,
it's great.
As you say, sitting, waiting. But this is lovely too because this is slightly bigger stitch with high contrast. I like that idea.
It is. It's the high contrast. It does give more definition, and also if you wanted to do actually proper big stitch quilting on a quilt like this, again that would work really well.
Come into fashion, hasn't
it? It is. Using the thicker thread, the cotton abroders, the perlé threads, and it's a lot more accessible again because with stitching like this, people say, oh, I really like the look of it, but your stitches are small. Well, I think they're not that small, but with big stitch, you don't need small stitches and you can get a really good effect. So that's something to look out for.
I think too about stitching, it's about evenness, not about actual sizes.
It's about building up your rhythm.
The eye likes it.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Now you bought a bundle of quilts with you, but I came across this work in progress. I think this is gorgeous.
This is another one of my, it's a quilt as you go quilt. It came out, not every quilt I do is a quilt as you go quilt, but sometimes it actually just fell into the right category. I like the blocks are about 12 inches square. The setting that I wanted to use for the quilt is I think it's a garden lattice setting, and it doesn't look much when it's as one block, but when you put the two together, if we just do your little mock-up here, you can see.
Isn't that pretty?
And then you'll get your crosses coming through. So it's quite an impressive looking framing and border technique, but again really easy to do because you're doing it in small sections, and I used it to show off one of my favourite fabrics that I bought last autumn.
Nice big pieces to use.
Nice bold prints. So so I think that's a good fun one. It's one of those old-fashioned sort of patterns that you don't see many of nowadays, so it's sort of nice to do something a bit different. And people like sewing things that are a bit different sometimes.
We're standing in front of another quilt that has been inspired by sort of bygone days, if you like. So have you found in the past that that's really what gets you quilting? That's your inspiration?
Yeah, definitely. It's always the starting point, the old quilts. I like going to look at the antique quilts. I like going to the museums and things. It's not that I want to reproduce reproduce them in the old fabrics. I know there are lots of reproduction lines around now for people who want to do that. I just want to sort of make quilts that are a bit different, that do come from the, you know, really there is nothing new. And if you go back far enough, there's always going to be sort of something that you can pick up bits and think, oh yeah, they did something like that before. So yeah, it's the old quilts, and I like buying well, I'd like to buy the quilts, but I like buying the blocks and the things that you can get at the antique fairs.
So that's where you find the blocks, in the antique fairs, that in the UK or just in the States? Or
sometimes, not so many over here. I must admit I do buy a lot in the US at various shows over there. There's often a couple of stands that'll be selling the antique quilts, and although they're great to look at, you know, you sort of think of the price and also the bulk and getting them back.
Yeah.
So I tend to now, I trawl through the blocks and basically the pieces that people haven't finished. So I do sort of, exactly, so I do sort of think probably in hundreds of years' time, someone's probably going to be trawling through, sort of spending $10 on a block that I didn't finish, you know.
I forgot to ask you actually, why have you always quilted and sewn?
Have I always quilted since I was born? I have not quite since I was born. No, I started quilting when I was probably about 16, 17. So I suppose it is a while ago. I'd always done a lot of needlework. I'd done cross stitch, drawn thread work, hard hanger, endlessly, anything like that with my hands. And I was taught to knit and crochet by my grandparents. But when it came to the patchwork and quilting, there wasn't actually that much information on how to go about it or how to start. There weren't all the books and magazines that there are now.
There weren't many around back then. My mum did some, but there wasn't much about it.
Exactly, you sort of fiddled about. So when I was at school, we did a hexagon pincushion, and that really sort of started me off. But then I got really into it when I was doing my Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme.
I did one of those.
Exactly, and you had to do an interest for your gold award, and my needlework teacher suggested it could actually be patchwork. So that really, I suppose, kick-started it, because you had to research it, you had to find out the historical side and make a folder of techniques and make a quilt and that sort of thing.
And that was before Google, so we really did have to do research.
It was way before Google, yeah. I mean, I can remember when I was at college, I went to college in Bath, and we had a big textile library there, because it's a textile college, and we had these photocopy cards, and as much as, you know, that was meant to be photocopying for your research, and I think I used all my photocopy card on patchwork and quilting, even though my major at college was weaving. It was like, weaving, right, that'll be fine, a few photocopies and I'll be okay. But it was like, oh no, anything I can find out about patchwork and quilting. So
yeah, well, that was actually quite hard work back then.
Yeah, there was a lot.
The books that my mum had, and the I guess for you they'd be inspiring, but I don't find them very inspiring because they're all black and white.
Well, exactly. They were all by Batsford, weren't they, with that pink and blue cover, and yeah, that was it. But yeah, it was, and also though, because I lived in Bath, we had the textile Claverton Manor, the patchwork museum.
Lucky you.
And at that stage, because we lived in Bath, you had more access to it than if you were just up there as a tourist. So I was really fortunate in that I had all that sort of on tap for the years I was there. So
and you're still sewing.
I'm still sewing, still making quilts, still more quilts to make.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think we'll ever finish, will we?
No, we can't, because we've got too much fabric.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, thank you very much for sharing your inspiration for us. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
That's great. Thanks, Valerie.